Let yourself settle. There is nowhere to be tonight and nothing to carry. Let your shoulders fall. Let your breathing slow. Tonight we are going to drift, gently, all the way back to the beginning of everything, into the old Norse story of how the worlds were made. You do not need to remember any of it. You do not need to follow every name. Let the words move over you slowly, like cold mist moving over still water, and let them carry you down towards sleep. In the very beginning, there was no earth and no sea, and no sky above. There was no sand, no grass, no stone. There was only a great and silent emptiness, and the old stories give it a name. They call it Ginnungagap, the yawning void. Imagine it now, a vast, calm nothing, stretching in every direction, without a single star to mark it. Quiet, patient, waiting. To the north of that emptiness, a world of ice slowly formed. The old ones called it Niflheim, the home of mist and cold. It was a place of frozen fog and dark, slow rivers, and at its heart was a well from which 11 rivers ran, and as they flowed away from their source, they froze, layer upon layer, into endless plains of ice. Picture that cold, if you can do it gently. Not a cold that hurts, but a deep, still, sleeping cold. A white and quiet land where nothing moved. And to the south of the emptiness, there was its opposite, a world of fire called Muspelheim, a land so bright and so hot that no stranger could ever enter it. It glowed and it flickered and it threw off sparks into the dark, and its embers drifted out over the void. Hold those two pictures in your mind for a moment. Ice in the north, sleeping and silent. Fire in the south, glowing and warm. And between them, that great calm emptiness, waiting. Slowly, across countless ages, the two reached toward each other. The warm air from the land of fire drifted north, and it touched the edges of the ancient ice. And where the heat met the cold, the ice began, very softly, to melt. Drop by drop. A slow and gentle thaw at the meeting place of the worlds. And in those falling drops, something began to stir. From the melting ice came the first living thing, a great sleeping giant named Ymir. He was vast beyond imagining, and at first he simply rested there in the warmth, half between ice and fire, and as he slept, more life came from him. There is something quiet and strange about it. As Ymir slept and sweated in the warmth, more giants were born from him, and so the first family of the old world came into being, all of them shaped from melting ice and gentle heat. And the ice gave one more gift. As it melted, it freed a great cow named Audhumla, and from her flowed 4 rivers of milk, and this was the food that fed the giant Ymir. And the cow, in turn, found her own food in the ice itself. The ice was salty, and so she licked it, slowly, patiently, hour after hour. Imagine that. A great, gentle creature in a world of white, licking the salt from the ancient ice, with all the time in the world, and no reason to hurry. And as she licked, the ice began to give up something hidden inside it. On the first day, the hair of a man appeared in the stone of ice. On the second day, his head. And on the third day, the whole man was free, and he stepped out into the new world. His name was Buri, and he was the first of the gods. Now the world had 2 families in it, the giants, born of the ice and the warmth, and the gods freed from the ice by the patience of the great cow. And in time, the 2 families touched, as all things in this story slowly touch. Buri had a son, and his son married a daughter of the giants, a woman named Bestla, and from that marriage came 3 brothers, and you may know the name of the eldest. He was called Odin, and with him came his brothers, Vili and Ve, 3 young gods, standing at the edge of a world that was still only ice and fire and emptiness. Let your breathing slow a little more here. We have arrived, gently, at the moment the world itself is made. The three brothers looked out at the great void, and at the sleeping giant, and at the endless ice, and they decided to make something new from it. And so, from the body of the ancient giant Ymir, they shaped the world that the old people believed they lived in. It is a strange and beautiful idea, and tonight you can simply let it wash over you. They took his flesh, and from it they made the earth, the soil, and the soft ground. They took his blood, and from it they made the seas and the lakes and all the waters. They took his bones, and from them they raised the mountains. They took his teeth and the broken stone within him, and from them they scattered the rocks and the gravel across the land. Then they lifted his great skull and set it high above the world, and that became the dome of the sky. And at its four corners they placed four dwarves to hold it up, and the old stories gave these four the names of the four directions: north and south and east and west. So that wherever you stood in the new world and looked to the horizon, one of them was always there, quietly holding up the sky. And they were not finished. They took the sparks and the glowing embers that drifted out of the land of fire, and they set them up in the new sky, and these became the stars. And they took two greater lights and set them moving across the heavens, and these became the sun and the moon, to mark the passing of the days and the turning of the nights. Picture it now. A sky that had been empty, suddenly scattered with soft and distant light. The first stars, looking down on the first morning. And from the brains of the old giant, the brothers made the clouds, and set them drifting across that new sky, so that even the clouds, in this old story, were part of the body of the world. Everything connected, everything made from the same first thing. Now there was earth below and sea around it, and sky above, and stars and sun and moon to light it all. But it was still a wild and open place, and so the gods made a wall around the middle of it, a sheltered region where life could be safe, and they called that protected place Midgard, which means the middle enclosure, the middle world. A safe and walled garden in the center of everything, ringed by the wide sea. And in that middle world, walking one day along the shore, the gods found two fallen trees, two pieces of driftwood washed up at the edge of the sea, lifeless and quiet. And the gods looked at them and chose to give them a gift. To the first, they gave breath and life. To the second, they gave thought and feeling and the warmth of the spirit. They gave them sight and hearing and speech. And those two pieces of driftwood became the first man and the first woman. The old stories call them Ask and Embla. And from those two, the people of the middle world were said to descend. Every one of them. All of us, in the old telling, shaped from two quiet logs on a shore and woken gently into life. And over all of it, holding all the worlds together, there grew a tree, the greatest tree that ever was or will be. The old ones called it Yggdrasil, the world tree. An ash so vast that its branches spread out above every realm and its roots reached down into the deep places of the world. Imagine it now as you drift. A single great tree, ancient beyond counting, its leaves always green, standing at the center of everything, with all the worlds cradled gently in its branches and its roots. There were 9 of those worlds, in the old belief, all held within the great tree. There was Asgard, high in the branches, where the gods made their home. There was Midgard, the middle world, where the people lived. There was the land of the giants, and the land of the elves, and the dark halls of the dwarves beneath the stone. There was the world of fire in the south, and the world of mist and ice in the north, where this whole story began. 9 worlds all woven together, all resting in the branches of one quiet, endless tree. And at the foot of that tree, there was a well of still and silent water, and beside it sat 3 wise women who tended the tree and watched over the fate of all things. Each day, they drew water from the well and poured it gently over the roots, so that the great ash would never wither, so that the leaves would stay green, so that the worlds would go on. Picture that. 3 patient figures at the root of the world, watering the tree in the quiet, keeping everything alive while the rest of creation slept. And so the world was made, out of ice and fire and a great calm emptiness, out of the patience of a cow licking salt from the stone, out of 3 young gods and the body of an old giant, out of 2 pieces of driftwood given the gift of breath, and over it all the green branches of the world tree, and beneath it the still water of the well, and the quiet women who kept it. There is so much more to tell. There are the gods who walked in those branches, and the long roads between the worlds, and the stories of how it all might one day end and begin again. But none of that is for tonight. Tonight the world is new, and the first stars are out, and the great tree is green, and all of it is at peace. So let it all grow quiet now. Let the ice sleep in the north, and the fire glow soft in the south. Let the sun and the moon turn slowly overhead. Let the well sit still at the root of the world. And let yourself rest here, in the middle world, safe inside the walls, under the branches of the oldest tree there ever was. There is nothing to do, and nowhere to be. The world is made, and it is holding you, and you can let go now and drift and sleep